Good morning, afternoon, evening, folks, and welcome to Neon Lights Roleplay, and welcome to another episode of Until Stars Collapse. First off, I'd like to thank Briar Sovereign for making the game we're using. It's Case and Soul. It is a Forged in the Dark mecha rule set, so if you like what you're hearing, if you enjoy this game, if you've enjoyed the previous episodes, assuming you've watched it, or you're just plain interested in what you're hearing, please come check it out. Also, we're celebrating Women's History Month along with Mecha March, so we'll be hosting some cool mecha-themed one-shots all throughout the month, along with supporting different charities. So, if you have the time or energy, please check either of those out. This week we are supporting Sad Girls Club, which is boosting mental health for Black femmes. If you have the spare time, please go check it out to learn more. I think there's probably, yes, there is a charity in there. Thank you for posting that one, posting the command. Please go visit those links if you are interested. Now, unfortunately today, Tensei will not be joining us, so please send him your love. But in our usual order, please tell us who you are, who you're playing today, what your playbook is, and answer this question for me. In the moment, what small thing brings you unbridled joy? A little bit more lighthearted this week. Starting off with, as usual, Foxy.
Kicking us off. Hey folks, I'm Young Foxy, aka Big Foxy, also known as your favorite Fox Philly's finest. Today, I will be reprising my role as Lance Admiral Alleluia Caden, reporting for duty. I would say that Alleluia uses they them pronouns. I use he they pronouns. I am playing the captain playbook, although I'm more the admiral in this case. And I think that the things that bring Alleluia joy are the times they spend walking along the halls, either on their way to the bridge or to the hangar for checks or to the mess or elsewhere, when they can walk past the service duct and see some engineers tucked into a corner playing cards, see pilots placing bets on the next sortie off in the mess room, or friends sharing a drink over some lost loved ones. In those moments when Alleluia can walk around the ship and see that the people under his command are under their command are human, is when they feel those small bits of incredible joy. A reminder that the people that they are keeping safe, the people that they're leading, aren't just soldiers, they're people.
Beautiful answer. Next up, I guess that's John this time.
Yeah. Hello. My name is John. I play Archeron Rose, the orphan. Archeron is also on the they them train. And I think this actually Archeron's answer to the question kind of links up with Alleluia's, which is that Archeron is very specifically someone, under Alleluia's command who is slowly recognizing, through the grueling process of risking their life out in the vacuum, blowing up mechs and ships and whatever, that they are also human, which is something that they maybe weren't so sure about, or at least not very reinforced in when they grew up. We haven't really gone into it in this game, and we probably won't before the end, I don't think. But since Archeron, it does have a somewhat strange childhood with one of the cults of our campaign. It's been weird. It's been weird to suddenly be part of a group that puts their trust in Archeron, being put in a position to lead a mission, as it were. Not something that would usually happen. So, yeah, I think the joy it's this strange joy of figuring out that you yourself are actually a person and what that means for you.
That's really sweet, actually. I don't know. I just feel I feel a lot of love for Acheron growing up like this is kind of cute. Next up is Vermin.
Hey everybody, I'm Legendary Vermin. I'm all over the internet as Legendary Vermin. Tonight, well, every night my pronouns are she and it if you're cool. My character's pronouns are she, her. And I'm playing Tenebra Shroud, who... You're you're asking like small things that cause unbridled joy. I don't think Tenebra has allowed herself joy in a long time. I think the closest that she's gotten is satisfaction. I think maybe there's a space of time between when she loads into the cockpit and when she's out in the fray during sortie. That time spent between flight check and fighting, where she races along the ramp and goes from that feeling of like gravity on the ship and the G-forces of the acceleration into weightlessness and freedom. That's probably the closest she gets.
Damn. Pretty awesome. Once again, Tensei is not with us today, so once again, please send him your love, but he is playing Shinya Nova, he, they pronouns, the idle playbook. And no, should I share his answer for the?
Yeah, I like his answer. I think we should
It's a
share.
good answer.
It is a
Good
really
answer.
good
I
answer.
like it.
Yeah. So his answer for the question today is every so often, Shinya gets a message from some fan that they don't know. The little messages, slightly different. They're all the same. They all come down to similar points though. Your work helped me. It gives me joy. It saved me. And that makes everything worth it. And alternatively, every time Tenebra doesn't realize that she's been caught on camera. I'm sorry, I had to include it. It was too good. It was too good. But yeah, so those are my wonderful players, and I guess that just leaves me. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm your game maestra for the day, and I'm playing everyone / everything / everywhere, every when that is not these players. So yeah, we'll see how things go. Oh, and before I forget, our wonderful players here have taken steps to ensure their comfort, but please be aware that we are going to be inching into some into territory exploring things like cult culture, maybe, imminent death, a definite, war media, a little bit, some sprinkles, and general violence warnings. A little bit less today, though. So if at any point you feel that makes you as an audience member uncomfortable, including right now, please feel free to zip away from the show until you are comfortable or until next time. Either way, thank you so much for coming out to spend some time with us. And on the edge, our souls incandescent. Do not weep, for our lives echo luminescent. And through vast expanse and starry sea, we find ourselves at the edge of twilight. A solar system that teeters or is perhaps already following. Its ever-expanding red star having already consumed the heavy volcanic planet of Icarus, has reached the inner ring of the asteroid belt. Soon, it will reach even Arborhearth, or perhaps collapse under the weight of its own mass. But that day is not yet today. We follow our camera as it makes its way through the asteroid belt. We watch as ships, escorted by the Pleiades, fresh off an encounter, down a carrier and several case squadrons, escorts their mining carriers and cargo ships through the perilous field of asteroids. While the sun is too slow to consume the belt, it's still hovering around the inner ring. The gravity is difficult for the heavier cargo ships to fight. You watch as some ships work together to push past the gravity field, and some ships are simply abandoned. Flying past the asteroid belt, we make our way towards Arbor Hearth, where the heaven after hell, its escorts, and, oddly enough, the Joyful Wing hover near the suborbital station. The atmosphere of Arbor Hearth glows shades of purple and pink in the expanding star, and just below it the sprawling plantscape of tree houses, flowers, flora, purple leaves open high towards the giant sun. And the people below continue on with their day. Children play unbothered by the impending crisis. Some people making their way unhurried to prepare for evacuation. Some ready to just welcome oblivion when it comes. A scene of calm before the solar storm, or perhaps solar collapse. And as our camera pans from this small focus on the city below, it slides back out, pushes back in towards the heaven after hell, where our crew have finished escorting the Tomb Keepers, boarded upon along with their, well, grounded cargo ship, as it were. Friends, it is perhaps one of the best parts of the game. Scene here is yours.
Before we get into any downtime action, I think we get like a couple of shots of the crew and our characters, or at least our pilots, like disembarking and letting their cases like dock. As a part of this, we see again the injuries, the bullet wounds that Tenebris sustained last time. Now, like, fully soaked through the material that her white spacesuit is made of. Like, there's been an attempt to patch it, but, like, nothing significant. The like red is soaked all the way through, and she comes out of her mech holding her arm as she descends the I imagine the mechs are tall enough that we have these like little like 1 foot on hold on wire cables, and she's like left foot on holding her arm and the cable with one hand as she descends. She looks to Shinya and Archeron as they get out of their mechs and says, Shinya, you're on repair duties. You're on repair duties for our mechs. I need to get this treated. Archeron, you're going to make a report to me. I'll be in the med bay. And then just like beelines it in that direction as medics come to like assist her.
I like that, and I think while we're still in that scene, we kind of the camera just kind of focuses a little bit on like something that's happening in the background, where we see another, the other pilots kind of getting out of their cases and arriving back at the hangar, and we see one of the pilots, a Corporal Tainer, being welcomed back here by a small like retinue of these like people in suits, right? The kind of people who you see and like, okay, I probably shouldn't get involved in this. This seems like trouble. So we see a number, maybe let's say two inquisitors of the what do we call the Military Justice Office? Is that the name we're going?
Military Justice Division, MJD.
Division. Okay. So two
The D
inquisitors
hits harder for some reason,
of the MJD. That's fair. Who I'm almost imagining them as like when in One Piece you see the agents of the world government, right? Like they always, you never see their eyes. It's always like the shades of their brimmed hats and stuff like that, right? Like they have their suits and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think we even hear what necessarily the conversation is about, but we see clearly that Corporal Tainer is surprised and angry and confused, and these two inquisitors are kind of just there to let's save it for later. We'll need to take you out of here. And I do think the glimpse that we get is that Archeron, again without getting involved in the actual scene, does their best to like make note of these inquisitors' names, ranks, maybe if they're wearing badges, some kind of like identification numbers, anything like that. And I'm trying to decide if I want to try and pickpocket one of these inquisitors, but I don't think I'm going to, because that feels like a bad idea. But I'm essentially doing my best to I'm doing my best to get as much information as possible about these guys that I can essentially follow up on in my own investigations.
All right. Is this as part of like a downtime action, or is it just scene setting?
Yeah, we can, like, this is essentially my setup for my downtime action. I don't know if Foxy, if you also want to do like a quick Alleluia. Well, I guess you didn't really. You're still on the ship. You didn't really leave. So,
no. He came back in his shuttle.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought
I'm in the shuttle
right,
bay
I guess
as we land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's cooler and more dramatic if the shuttle's getting back at the same time.
Fair.
So we can fudge timestamps.
I agree. I'm fine with that.
You watch as I mean, if you're okay with this, you sort of you sort of watch as like the holographic image of Bastet just goes, "Clear the landing bay for the shuttle." And you watch as engineers sort of like move their way, sort of in a I guess like how do I put it? Well practiced manner of clearing the landing pad, moving things in place, opening up the hangar bay, making sure everyone's properly anchored.
Yeah, I think as like the shuttle, touches itself down, it has a lower anchored ramp that comes out from the the upper nose of it. Alia walks down with whatever other soldier like accompanies them as a guard, and they dismiss them with a bit of a wave and just thank you, of course. Great work today, all of you. If any damage done to the ship, please have a report ready for my office for the bridge as soon as possible. And I think it's at that point to kind of like look over to the engineers and like offer them a salute. They see Archeron like snooping around with some MJD officers around, and just, oh, that can't be nothing. And I think they'll like they're not going to just walk up to Acheron because they know like that's not the way to get what they want from them. So instead, they're kind of just going to not slink, but just kind of walk by, clearly going to the bridge, but their eyes are going in Acheron's direction, making very clear, like, I see you. Like, whatever it is you're up to, I see it, and we'll talk about this later.
Do you think, because I can't quite remember if we established this last downtime, do you think Alleluia knows that Archeron like essentially framed this poor innocent pilot for some crime?
I don't think Alleluia knows, mostly because there was way too much going on the past few, the past 24 hours to notice every small incidental detail. Whether or not they will notice it once they finally get to sit down and go over all the reports of everything, I think that's up to you, honestly. But I think as for right now, they know Acheron's a sneaky little rat, and they're always up to some things, but they're not necessarily like actively like, okay, what have you done? It's more just like all right, you're clearly doing something, and I'm going to get to that after I've dealt with like the 7 other things I still have to deal with.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Nice. In that case, I mean, for me, the next thing is going to be to go to Tenebra on the med bay.
Okay. So my angle here is this is a repair and recuperate action for me, which lets me undo some of the soul harm that I took during last mission. But I think what it looks like is like this is a very open attempt to make Archeron uncomfortable. She is staying awake during the like procedure and just carrying on a conversation while the medics like have her arm open and look very uncomfortable about it. And I think there's some degree of just like regular it starts off as a very normal like, okay, debrief, tell me what happens, give me an update on your movements so that I can pass along information to the Lance Admiral. Are there any damages to your ship, etc., etc. Give me your data feeds, and then and maybe it's well, Archeron, how do you feel about somebody having a conversation with you while they're effectively undergoing surgery?
I think it's a good question. I think and you can let me know if Tenebra picks up on this. I kind of feel like maybe she does because she's quite sharp. Since we are surrounded by other people, whatever the surgeons and other staff members, right? Like Archeron still keeps up their whole act of like, oh, I'm just some kind of low-ranking, kind of bumbling fool who doesn't know how these things work and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of still happening, but also they're clearly like not putting as much effort into that anymore. So for us as the audience who know that it is an act, and maybe for Tenebra as well, like we can see that at this point their demeanor is the actual kind of like real feelings, I guess, are like quite cold. So I don't think they'll I think outwardly maybe, but internally I don't think they actually pay that much attention to, or I don't think they're like as that phased by those procedures.
Okay. I think as the like final patches get sewn up and like I think we see the medical procedure basically end, and there's nothing but like a relatively new scar there, because space medical technology.
Sure.
We'll see how good that was in a second. Tenebra, still mask on, still like partially in uniform as she often is on the ship. How old are you, Archeron?
Oh, I well, actually just recently turned 19 solar cycles. But don't worry about it. I'm not. I don't really care
Why
about
are
this
you
stuff.
here? Don't
Well,
make something up.
did you say? Remember? Did you say that the medical team is that are they still in the room?
They're like in the process of clearing out.
Yeah.
And like maybe the last thing that's still in the room, and like finishing the procedure is just like, it's like a crane medical robot.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it only like knows how to do medical procedures. It's not smart enough to be like sapient.
Yeah.
But it's like, please lift your arm.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, yeah, I think the demeanor does like now quite visibly change. And it's the thing that we've seen before in other scenes where Archeron, who usually is like kind of like a little like slumped over, is like kind of sitting up more, like sitting up straight, and I think maybe even kind of like leaning back in their chair a little bit, not in like a like kind of, how do I put this? Not in like a dominating fashion, not in like a hey I'm the boss here fashion, but more in a God I'm tired of doing all of this kind of way.
I love the idea that like it's as that question is posed and like the follow up of like, don't make something up. That's when we see like the final like layer of relief.
Yeah, and it's I think maybe even the like kind of like head back, looking at the ceiling, and yeah, after a while they say, well, I don't know, I have a few answers for that depending on when when that question comes up. I had a reason for coming here. Can still kind of do. There's more reasons now that we've been through all of this. There's more reasons now that we're looking, we're looking in the face of oblivion. But to be honest, the main thing is the alternative to me being here is me not really being at all. I'd rather be here and be tired and injured, and you see that they have like they clearly took a beating in the last sortie, and uncertain of what's going to happen in the future. I'd rather be here with all of that than be back in some gaudy mansion surrounded by people I nominally should know, but I have no idea who they are. They aren't really people. They're just cloaks and masks and platitudes. And they expect the same from me.
I think we see Tenebra like nod and kind of put two and two together. Can I grab the camera and have you fill in the other half for me?
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea that in this moment, like, these characters are sort of like seeing through to the person on the other side of the mask in a visual, metaphorical way. The room gets split down the center and they're kind of like both in profile. And the background behind each of them, well, the background behind Tenebra is that planet that we saw before. and the clothing that she's wearing is that like royal blood red robe with gold accents, and the diadem from before. And she nods and she says something along the lines of, she says, "You've had to look at Oblivion's face for a very long time, I think." What does it look like on Archeron's side?
And I think for that specific line, Archeron will respond after some like a moment of silence. Archeron will respond, and sometimes I think I was the only one. And yeah, in Archeron's background, we see them also as a child. In these, like, yeah, again, as they just kind of mentioned, right? These ostentatious mansions with like gold ornaments, all like very like kind of real gaudy European old money kind of vibe, very like Baroque, right? And these like gatherings of people in their kind of ceremonial robes. They're all like it's all white and gold, right? It's all very pristine. And they kind of shift from doing these communal rituals, like nothing offensive. It's all very like again, very like communal, singing songs. Sharing some kind of drink or food, and always focused on this pair of who are clearly kind of the leaders, or at least high-ranking members of this group. And we kind of shift from that view and kind of Archeron in the middle of all of that to these other scenes of those two who are Archeron's parents, those two high-ranking members, in the background, after those gatherings, these gatherings where they, I realize the audience doesn't have quite as much background lore details as we do. These gatherings where they, as the Singers of the Last Sunrise, where they kind of ostensibly celebrate the coming of the end, right? Where they want to, it's essentially like a rapture, right? They want to go into the sun and be, who knows, reborn maybe, welcoming the end with open arms. But we see these kind of backroom moments of Archeron's parents, sending messages, discussing with each other, being on calls with some shadowy figures, clearly making preparations of like, okay, we're not gonna stick around for this. This like kind of duplicitous image of on the surface we're all about our oncoming death, but really it's all these sheep who are gonna go into the blast zone, and we're just using our resources for better things. And we do see kind of Archeron, in the just like peeking through the door frames, right? Like these moments of realization.
I love the idea that you said that one of the things that they do in our backroom chats was that they like took money from the coffers of the cult to like grease the palms. I love the idea that we see all that play out, and one of the things that we see then is we see young Archeron watching whatever physical form of money they have. I'm imagining like plastic sheets with little like chit in them, like metal. They look like computer chips almost, but they're money. They're like collected in a tray, and those scenes play out, and we watch Archeron watch the flow of money. Through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Do we see Archeron's face?
So I don't think we do, but I think what we do see when we come back into, like, when we focus back on the present day, from the present time, where as I said, like Archeron clearly has taken some, is injured, right? Like has taken some damage in our last mission. And we have the little like crane arm robot just like like finished up things with Tenebra, is like next to Archeron, does the like the robot voice of like, please lift your whatever it's like
Please remove the obstacles to treatment.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is Archeron like clad fully in just like robes and scarves and being fully obscured. And I think at that point, so I think the robot says that a couple times. Archeron not moving, kind of like almost like, I mean, you don't see the eyes, but like almost like locking eyes with Tenebra. Tenebra still with her like arm, like with her patched up arm open, and then at some point Archeron is gonna kind of lift up their sleeve, and we see, and this is somewhat of a retcon for what we did before the stream, like before the campaign started. So a bit of a retcon for our like pre-session 1 game. We see that Archeron's arm is instead of like skin and flesh, we see like metal, all all up into the shoulder, and as
metal
the robot,
as in like C3PO without the plating on, or like smooth metal, like
not like smooth metal, like a like a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance character.
Okay, cool.
Right. And I think even with that, I don't know if Tenebra would even react to that. I almost imagine it as like it's just a continuation of the locking of eyes. As the robot, who I think is probably also proficient in like fixing up kind of machines, right? As the robot like continues working on the different, wherever we see like kind of the shrapnel slashes and all that from the last mission, to the point where I think after what feels like an eternity of silence, Archeron even starts removing their like kind of face or head mummification, and we see that even that is a featureless metal, like not even a face, right? It's just kind of like a metal plate. To the point where this kind of goes back to the beginning question that Michelle asked us, is like the Archeron seems to like Archeron finds joy in discovering themselves as a person, but at this point it's not even quite clear how much of a person Archeron even is, in like a very physical sense.
This is sort of a meta question.
Hmm.
Is this something that like Tenebra can imagine having happen to a person, or would she assume that like Archeron has always been like this?
Good question. I mean, we can talk about that. I don't have any like deep thoughts about like the setting lore for this, so we can talk about what's more interesting to us. I would think. Yeah.
My only angle in this is I want to understand if I want Tenebra to get an inkling for whether or not this is something that was done to Archeron, or if this is the way that Archeron is.
Yeah, that's let's see how we can kind of make that visible for Tenebra in the narrative. My thinking is, let me know what you think of this. My thinking is that obviously robots kind of exist in our setting, and maybe we have like even the to an extent like androids in a sense of like very like human like machines. My thinking is maybe we're at a point where the technological level is at the point where we can make that happen, but maybe the societal level is not quite at the point where society recognizes them as people, right? Where it's like that's still we have these human like robots, but we still very much consider them like service machines in a sense. Which means that it would be very like unusual for like if Archeron was an actual like full-on artificial being, be very unusual for them to like act as human as they have. Like I wonder, we as an audience have seen some of the like flashbacks to Acheron's childhood. Acheron clearly was, used to be smaller, for instance, right? Clearly had, and I think maybe even in those flashbacks we did see, even though there was all the like ceremonial garb and stuff, but maybe we did see like a hand or hair or whatever. Like, so I think we as an audience get an idea of like Acheron used to be a child, a human child, but clearly isn't anymore, right? I'm not quite sure how, like, if Tenebra can kind of pick up on that. I'm also not sure. What do you think? Like, has Tenebra ever had any interaction with the Singers of the Last Sunrise, or is that just kind of like completely foreign to them?
I think that would be pretty foreign to her.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just in the way that Acheron is put together. There's not things that you would expect to see on those like service robotics. They tend to have like, they tend to be a little bit more of the C-3PO, where they have those visible like hydraulics and servos for actuation. And like there's not really any of that maybe for Acheron.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And I think what Tenebra does as they're sitting there, and we get these like this split of like Archeron and that background of the cult and her, and that background of the planet, she just reaches across, those backgrounds dissolve, and she just like holds Archeron's cheek for a moment.
I like that, and I think as a visual, again, for the audience, as a visual thing that's happening is that in that shot, this like smooth cold metal of Acheron's like current body kind of fades into that like that child, and like like a first still with the ceremonial garb and the mask and stuff, but that stuff just kind of like starts falling away, and we just see like a kind of sobbing child in
there's that like movement of the thumb to wipe away tears that are not actually there. I think that's as good a place to leave that scene as any.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Cool.
That's good.
I'm gonna do some mechanics really quick.
Yeah, I need to double check what my bond does with you. My bond with Tenebra is you seem like my best chance of surviving this horror. I mean, I feel like that's, if anything, like in general, I think my bond with Tenebra has grown, and I think that kind of that aspect of it has too.
Yeah. You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into. I need to show you how bad things will get. I think this scene is both like, it opens as her trying to do that, and then ends with her realizing that expectation of hers is completely subverted.
Yeah.
If I took that bond, you, my friend, I've just filled the gauge.
Oh yeah. So I get beats. Wait, do I get one beat?
You get a beat. I think it's just one.
Yeah, I think so.
You get beat exactly one time.
Yeah, nice.
Beat up.
Yeah, let's see.
And then what do I get for that?
And Tenebra gets 2 XP.
2 XP. Wowza.
That's more than one.
Yeah. I think the roll that I'm making here is sync in the end. Which I don't have any points in. But I'm gonna roll 2 dice anyway and take the lowest. That was a 6 and a 1. Dang it.
Oh, no.
That's fine. That's fine. I recover 1 soul damage.
I think I'm trying to decide. I think I might even also use this as I myself, like Archeron, also doing a repair and recuperate.
I love that.
That might not be the worst idea. I think it would probably also be a synchro for me, which is also really bad for my for me. But
well, we're here to grow. We're here to get better, and we can only improve by failing. That's not necessarily true in this game, but
yes. I mean, how does for pushing yourself when you normally would roll with like quote unquote 0 dice, does it just give you just roll with 1 die and
roll with 1 die.
Yeah.
You can think of it as like brackets that you climb.
Yeah. I think I might actually do that in and thematically, this being, Archeron being this open about their nature, I guess, being quite unusual, and them not like, I don't think they were prepared for this when they entered the med base, so I think this might be somewhat stressful for them to do this. So yeah, I'm gonna push myself and then just roll a single die here for that sync roll. It is a 5.
5 is pretty good.
Which means I remove 1 harm automatically and then one more. Yeah, so I'm gonna remove 1 case and 1 soul harm. Cool.
Nice. All right.
Do we think, Foxy, is there something that we want to switch back to with Alatheia, or?
Oh yeah, I got a thing I can do, which is I feel appropriate to be doing while y'all are busy being sentimental over there. So yeah, I think Alatheia transfers from giving Archeron the side eye in the shuttle bay to immediately heading for it's their quarters, but next to the captain's quarters on the Heaven After Hell, it was actually given to Alatheia as a refit gift after the by Admiral Grace at the end of the Grace Chan campaign, or the Chan Grace campaign. It's sort of like a semi-office space, but also a bit of a rec room, like a personal rec room. So it has on one side a large couch and a hollow screen for relaxing, which Alatheia never uses. The other side of it has, which they're actually going towards, is sort of like a small pedestal with a hollow bay in front of it. They're going to sort of step onto the pedestal, place their arms behind themselves in a very formalized fashion, and offer their registration code and their biometrics, and have their eye scanned as they're going to try to contact the ranking, like admiral or rear admiral or high admiral in system with the RCN, as there's a lot of shit going on, and they also just did a thing that they maybe should probably get the handle on talking about before someone else finds out without them telling them.
I think you call, and the communication sort of rings. It rings once. It pauses. It rings twice. Pauses. It rings a third time. And at this point, you're just like, alright, this is weird. People, like, for an admiral, you should be, like, yeah, admirals are busy, but they really should be, like, if you get a call, you either get a hold, or you get a transfer, or they pick up. You haven't even gotten a hold yet.
Wouldn't mind a bit of respect, but I won't complain just yet.
But in the midway through the 4th ring, it sort of abruptly gets like an interrupt, and then you watch as the screen sort of like shivers a little bit, and then resolves into an admiral. And describe to me, like, what does this person look like?
I think she is statuesque in poise, if not necessarily in build, although possibly in both, up to you. But I think she has that kind of cut to her eye that says that she is very used to cutting through people, similar to the kind of admiral like persona Alatheia frequently holds up around the crew for the sake of keeping themselves together and keeping everyone around them calm. But I think the biggest difference between Alatheia's more soft focused gaze, and their cold hard one is experience. They have the look of someone who has seen hundreds of thousands die in their time in service. The kind of person who understands that ship combat is brutally lethal and hardens themselves in the way someone has to in order to command properly. Uh, Probably even has an eye patch. Why not throw it in there?
And I think she sort of raises one perfectly manicured eyebrow at you. Just the other eye is covered up with an eye patch, but it doesn't disguise what looks like a scar from a close-up laser pistol. And you were greeted by an incredibly chilly voice. Lance Admiral. Sorry, just double checking. How do you pronounce your
Caden's my
last
last
name?
name. It's Caden.
Lance Admiral Caden. Report.
Rear Admiral Frost. Thank you for your time. I am just off of my authority of my crew and figured it was best to report in and establish contact with you, as I haven't been in contact much since my task force came in the system for resupply. Given the way things are going, and I assume you understand what happened with the sun lately, I felt it best we make contact now.
You watch as she sort of takes in this information, thinks about it. We are aware.
I am not certain you fully are, Rear Admiral. My fleet was engaged, my task force was engaged directly at the aegis of the asteroid belt with Arum Gate forces and Pavana's pirates not long before we broke.
And Pavanis.
We were on rental sortie from the Tomb Keepers requesting escort for a ship of theirs. The two parties were already engaged in battle prior to our engagement, and we engaged to simply secure our vessel. Nothing more.
Tactically sound decision, Lance Admiral.
Which leads to the post-sortie action of the sun rapidly expanding, swallowing whole several ships and a full planet, which you claim to be aware of, which leads me to ask the following question. Have we dispatched a courier ship to High Command? Have the Grand Admirals been made aware of this? Is there a plan for evacuation?
Admiral Frost just sort of has, I guess, like, she has a very sharp look in her eye. It's the kind of look where it seems like she's weighing your life and the lives of others and does not care. The sort of numbers to numbers kind of look. The kind of look that doesn't care about individuals, that just cares that we save that the highest number of people can be saved. That's it, does not care. And she just returns with a single response. We have prepared as many ships as we can to allow through Warp Gate Zeta, and we have also prepared as many planets as we can, given the war effort, that can provide relief for the evacuees. The scheduled departures have already been created. They are following orders.
Warp Gate Zeta moves spinward. Planets out there don't have enough space for resupply, let alone refugees. Not to mention the traffic, we wouldn't get enough people through. We'd need both warp gates, the capital's right there.
We do what we can, Lance Admiral.
And we simply allow a paltry force of Arum Gate capitalists to let trillions die?
Lance Admiral, you do not understand. We cannot afford a war with Arum Gate.
Forgive me, Rear Admiral, I forget myself. Barring that conversational line, I would simply re-up a previous line then. Bare minimum, I request a courier ship with orders to return to the capital world and speak with the Grand Admiral's Council. Rapid stellar expansion at this scale is an unknown phenomenon we've never seen before. If it can happen here, and trillions die, it can happen anywhere else, and kill however many we don't know. Bare minimum, give me that much. I should pause right here, by the way, to say, feel free to say no here. Like, I firmly think it's way more
Give them
impactful if she
fucking
still says
nothing.
no. Like literally, like,
I wasn't sure if you were gonna be okay with that.
no, I could see it in your face, so I was like, hey, want you to know? That's fine. Don't pull that punch, please.
All right. Lance, Admiral. You have your orders. I have mine. And this system has long been doomed. Now you will escort as many ships as you can out from the system, if you can. I trust that you will be able to do so without any fuss.
Luya will take a long second. It looks like their face wants to crack into like outright rage for several seconds. Take a long breath. Orders understood. Escort sortie for all vessels capable of leaving Warp Gate Zeta. Secure maximum survivability without engaging Arm Gate forces or others. Thank you, Rear Admiral, for your time.
Borderline insubordinate as you are, that is acceptable. And she immediately closes the call, doesn't give you anything else.
The moment the call closes, the screen cracks from Alatheia's fist slamming into it as hard as possible. Insubordinate.
Can I? Do you, Foxy? Do you want to do anything else in this scene, or because this could also fade over into what Archeron is doing next?
Fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if this. If the
should do my mechanic thing if you don't mind. I should do some mechanics first if you don't mind. Yeah. So I'm gonna call that. The purpose of Alatheia getting ahead of contacting the fleet was, well, mostly for what they said, but also to avoid the fleet or RCN finding out about them working with or contacting Pavanis by virtue of somebody else, namely RM Gate. So I'm taking the lay low action. So I'm doing some work to take heat off of yourself and the rest of the crew, as the crew's all at 1 heat and I'm at 3 because I'm an idiot. So I'm going to take an action. Michelle, you let me know what action you feel like it's best for me to be taking, and I'll roll some dice.
Okay. I think, and tell me if you think this is appropriate, but I think you're trying to leave a certain impression here.
So it's sway
of your engagement, so that's a sway.
My feeling is that I hate it, but I'm gonna roll it because it makes perfect sense. Here goes 2d6, take the lowest.
Mine condolences.
That's a 3. So unfortunately, I do clear 1 heat from myself, but I don't clear any from the crew. So you all remain at 1 heat. I drop to 2. I'm sorry, friends. I was hoping to sweep all that heat away in one fell swoop.
Unfortunate.
Is what it is.
All right. I believe.
Yeah, we can smash it away from, like you can smash, insubordinate, growl, camera wipe immediately over to Archeron.
I kind of like the idea of you smash and it's the actual screen that sort of like shatters as the camera, instead of like sweeping to Archeron, just sort of like explodes into shards, and you see as the shards fall, we see Archeron.
Well, it's
I love
especially
it.
because
Very Star Wars.
Archeron's also in front of a terminal, right? So And I think again, I don't even know if the rear admiral is even going to show up in this in my research here, but like I think this is essentially like switching over to like after this conversation, switching over to Archeron, just kind of mumbling to themselves like, what the hell is going on in the RCN? And essentially what I'm doing is using as best I can, maybe even who knows, with some of Shinya's help to get access to some, maybe some more off limits parts of our I'm forgetting what we call the intranet here, but like of our net, right?
It's called Galcom.
Cool. Um, uh, with the with the information that I could gather from the Inquisitors, like essentially looking them up, looking into what the MJD is up to, who's in command over there, what have they been doing recently, and then again, if I can even get at least narratively Shinya's support in like getting to some of the more high security areas of that network. Yeah, just kind of trying to figure out like I think Archeron at this point also gets the feeling that like, I mean, Lance Admiral Caden seems to be doing the best they can, but everything else seems kind of
I'm fucking
fucked up
trying,
at the
dog.
moment.
It's hard out here. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm trying my best. Sorry.
Yeah, so essentially just doing a whole bunch of research, which is me kind of pursuing a project, which I would love to roll discern for that. Discern being pick up on hidden things, draw logical conclusions, reference relevant information. But yeah, that would be my action here.
Say if you are we can talk about whether or not Shinya assists you later. But assuming Shinya is assisting you with the actual access bit, yeah, sure, go ahead and roll me that discern.
Cool. So I have 2 in discern.
Yes. That is.
So the highest is a 5 for me. Which for work on a project means that in addition to the automatic tick, I get 1 more tick for having rolled a 4 or 5. Which means I'm now 1 off. No, wait, how long is my... Oh, wait, I for some reason I thought it was a 4 o'clock, not an 8 o'clock, but I now remember it was an 8 o'clock. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we're getting there. We're slowly getting there.
We're slowly getting there. I think what you're getting is you're getting pieces of a larger picture, a lot of data, a lot of points that you can connect. There's little bits of rumors, there's little bits of just a pattern from assignments. But you don't quite have enough to put all the pieces together just yet. You're gonna need to get a little bit more before you think you can really figure out what's going on here.
I mean,
especially because you've just got 1 piece of the data.
Yeah, I have a bunch of beat to spend. If you want me to do that right now, I can just go deeper. But yeah.
If you're feeling up to it,
sure,
go for it.
Yeah. I'll spend 1 of my beats to get an extra downtime action, and it's just going to be a pursue project again. Does it make any sense for me to push myself on this? I'm already rolling 2d6. I feel like that should be good enough.
Push your limits. Go beyond. Plus ultra.
Plus ultra.
I mean, I guess so. I guess we're at the penultimate episode, and I have a bunch of stress to go. So yeah, sure.
Go beyond. Never hold back.
Oh, also, I didn't mark my stress from my previous push, and so I'm gonna now push myself again. Which means I guess I'm gonna roll 3d6 then for this one. Well, the highest is a 6 this time around, so that's good. Which for work on a project means I get 2 additional, so 3 advances total.
That's 3 ticks. That's pretty awesome.
So what? I'm like 1 off now.
You are 1 off. You are 1 away from finishing.
Do whatever for my next one. I don't think there's a way to get a penalty. So yeah, I can as soon as I spend like a single additional downtime action, I'll have that filled up. Which I don't. So I don't know if I mentioned this to the audience. We're doing essentially. So every downtime phase gives you 2 downtime actions, or 3 if you spend a beat. But we're doubling up on that for this session. So I have at this point spent my 3 initial downtime actions. 1 for the repairing my harm, and then 2 pursue a project right now. So I have up to 3 left. So I guess we'll just finish this up now. So I'm gonna spend 1 more downtime action on, and again, this is at this point, it's just the last pip, so it doesn't really. I don't even need to roll for this because I automatically get a take for this.
Don't worry about rolling for that one at all. Or,
yeah.
I mean, if you'd like to roll, that's also cool. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know. At this point, I think maybe here. Let's say this. Maybe at this point, like I and maybe Shinya helping me. I think we've found the juicy bits, and now my last roll might be I guess maybe a skulk to like hide our tracks, right? We don't want anyone to find out that a bunch of like ensigns have been snooping around in classified Navy documents.
all right.
So
I will say for this, if you're trying to hide your actions, depending on how well you do, you and Shinya may or may not be taking heat.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's good. And would you allow me to roll skulk for this, or?
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's see how that goes. So my highest is a 6 again. I'm rolling much better than the last session, which is nice.
Really good. It was almost a crit too. All right, so you, I think you and Shinya, like Shinya's got like the Axis know-how, but you have sort of a bit more experience with knowing how to hide things, knowing how to hide in plain sight. And so you are able to sort of like direct Shinya, who's, I'm actually not sure if he's familiar with like hiding, hacking, or anything, but you're able to direct him to be able to like just like mask everything that you've done and at least point it at somebody else, if not you.
Exactly. I think that's the thing. We don't want to seem like actual hackers. We're taking like the persona of like some administrative, employee who's like, something like that. Yeah.
Like it looks like a routine checkup on data. Like that's sort of like, oh hey, did we mask everyone's important data? Did we redact the correct documents, basically?
Yeah.
Were the documents redacted correctly and that kind of stuff. All right. And you've completed your project. All right. That is the RCN leak. So, remind me again, what is it you specifically wanted to learn from this?
Well, I think the setup was like fairly vague in the sense that like Archeron, like through the Singers of the Last Sunrise, Archeron knows that there's some shady essentially covert connection between at least the Singers and the RCN, and who knows who else is involved. Which essentially kind of brought me to the point of like, okay, I need to figure out, like, there's clearly at least some people, probably influential people in the RCN who are doing stuff kind of like under the table, right? Who aren't quite just there for their like official objectives, but yeah, doing backroom deals and stuff like that. So essentially, I'm trying to follow the trail to figure out who might be responsible for that on the RCN side of things.
All right, and I think with this you get 2 names.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is, and Foxy, if you'd like to supply me with a name.
Let's go with fucking Malcolm Reiner is the last name. There we go. Malcolm Reiner. There it is. Off the dome.
StarCraft name. It's a very StarCraft
off the dome, off the top of the dome. You feel me? Like,
yeah. And I think the first name you get is sort of like it's Malcolm Reiner, and it's a little difficult, but you find like sort of like through the trails, the sort of like these backroom deals where he's very much aware that his this admiral's sector, he does not have enough people. He's lost a lot of soldiers to the fight to the civil ostensibly the civil war that's going on in the great, I guess, like in the greater rim system. And the first thing you learn is that he's the guy who's making the sort of backroom deals where they sort of they do this whole thing where it's he will promise to take some of the families out from the solar system, promise an evacuation, if the combat worthy members enlist in the army. But what you find is that he doesn't always fulfill his promise. You see, there's a sort of like a really long backlog chain of if they're the younger they are, effectively. So like anywhere from child up to sort of like a middle-aged person, usually those families will go through. Any older? Delay. Paperwork gets lost. Some sort of equipment malfunction. Change in the schedule. But his ranks have suspiciously swelled. In fact, he's gotten a couple of new crews. In fact.
I wonder do you think he, like, would I find maybe like a number of, quote unquote, like, gifts from like the singers, like stuff like this is like they're clearly paying him to do something, but like it's all like disguised as like, oh, these are like, it's like, oh, it's a professional courtesy, or it's like the way that, like, I mean, I guess you wouldn't donate to the Navy, but like that kind of vibe.
I think, and I think this one, that's a little how do I put it? You don't find that with Admiral Malcolm Reiner. He seems to be more concerned with increasing his numbers. Interestingly enough, though, Foxy, tell me if this seems a little out of character. But you find mysterious donations heading to a certain Rear Admiral Frost.
I wanted you to actually say Alatheia's name. That would have been very funny.
I would have been like, hold on, slow down, whoa. Okay. No, hold on. Actually, can I double down on this a little bit? Actually, I think it goes a little further than that. I think there is a second Rear Admiral, and Michelle, I'm putting you on the spot. You can give me a name for this one if you want. There's a second of the Grand Admiral. So Reiner's one Grand Admiral who's in on the shit. There's a second Grand Admiral who is like definitely working in with the cult to the point of continuations. I would even go as far as like maybe even like is he a high-ranking member of the cult along with being a part of the Grand Admiral's cult. I think they're working with Reiner as like a, yeah, sure, you can get what you want and I'll get what I want kind of thing. But I think Reiner is secretly like planning on like once the war is over to see that a bunch of people in the high-ranking admiralty, including that Grand Admiral, are purged and replaced with a lot of his loyalists, including people like Frost. So Frost isn't necessarily like part of the cult herself, but she knows like, hey, I'm on Reiner's side because if I keep letting him do whatever he wants, when this ends, I'm a High Admiral or maybe even a Grand Admiral. Like, and so I think like there definitely is like there's lots of cult connection throughout like the admiral ranks, including at least one Grand Admiral. But Reiner's plan is once the war's all wrapped up, to get all those people who were cult associated either killed off or like otherwise thrown out.
Gotcha. I think this admiral's name is let's go with Taylor Vincent.
Vincent's a very Warcraft name. I love it.
And I think another bit that's sort of like I guess is that weird entanglement thing is not only is Frost a direct subordinate of this Grand Admiral, but they are distantly related, that sort of awkward, like I drag you down, you drag me down kind of blackmail mud kind of political connection.
Okay. For
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no.
The shock was so intense that we lost John's connection. I mean, I think we're at a pretty solid spot to like slide over
Yeah.
to a micro fast break, unless we had a thing to do over on your end, Madam Tenebra.
I mean, there's a thing that we could do, but I think with the spinny, let's cut to break.
Let's get to break then. I like how that sounds. Let's just do the breaky thing.
Hey, cool. Then, folks, we just learned some really interesting things. So, you know, don't touch that dial. We'll be back in sometime soon in order to and continue with all this wholesome. Okay, maybe not so wholesome. RP. All right, welcome back to Until Stars Collapse. As another quick reminder, this is Mega March, and therefore we are supporting charities. So please go check out Sad Girls Club, boosting mental health. It's important. I mean, like, I don't know if you're gonna need it after this episode, but you know, I'm sure
I
our
might be a sad
characters
girl after this
do.
episode. We'll be honest.
But we've just had an interesting revelation of corruption in the RCN. And I think it's on this note that our camera, actually, who would like the camera right now? Because I think we've like sort of like freeze frame on like this face of realization on Archeron's
Literally,
face.
actually.
I think I want to take the camera next, because I think I know what that. We've got a frozen John again.
Okay, I think we'll get them back. Don't worry about it. Well, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what ends up? We cut over to Tenebra, and Tenebra is, well, it's not Tenebra that we cut over to. Excuse me. Somewhere distant on Galcom, within the system, there is kind of an open broadcast being played. And it's hard to say when it was recorded, and there are folks trying to figure out where it came from. But the gist of the message is as follows. We see somebody in that we see an adult version of Tenebra in that royal sash and outfit and diadem, saying, expatriates of Codenweath, within this system, I am Princess Thead Goth, and I have arranged passage for you through Orem Gate into safety. If you and your families are trapped in the system as the star begins to collapse, know that you have free passage with Orem Gate out of this system by treaty with our sovereign system. So, I am pushing myself on this to get 2 dice. I think I am trying to sway people into moving to Orem Gate. And I think, on top of this, this is not like directed at anyone in particular. This is more or less on an open channel. Two things. I don't think that Tenebra is necessarily recognizable. This video seems like it may have been taken. Well, it's hard to say. It's probably not recent. It was probably made a while ago. and maybe we see evidence of that in like the scenes surrounding it. But yeah, that's what I would like to do. I would like to sway people into giving Arnhem Gate a hard time, if
All
that's
right,
cool,
go
Michelle.
for it.
Okay, that's a 5.
A 5. All right. I am guessing this is work on a project.
This is absolutely work on a project. I'm trying to create pressure.
All right. Well, with a 5, you are getting a +2 to your tick.
Okay, so we're halfway there.
You're halfway there.
Cool.
I think, yeah, and I think with a 5, it's not really like I think what we see is like as the scene sort of like expands away from this video on Galnet, you see as it like sort of like swishes through Arbor Hearth and through like the ice wastes of Quillen. Most people seem to be content with their lot in life. Most people seem to be ready to accept solar collapse, but the people who aren't, the people who are on the fence, the people who are sort of waiting to die, not because of some sort of rapture, because they're just waiting for it, but for the people who couldn't leave because they didn't have the means, the ones who have resigned themselves, sort of look at your video broadcasted on this open channel as it sort of like flits through Galcom. And you see hope appear on their faces as they begin to make their way to shuttles, to ships. You watch as a lot of sort of abandoned ships that have just sort of like just sat there because there's nowhere to go begin to fill with people.
Yeah. I don't think we see the real Tenebra during this sequence. I think, or if we do, it's just like from the waist down, as that video like maybe pops onto those like hallways that have the broadcasts in them. Like, yeah. But we don't see her reaction to people starting to move.
All right. Anything else you'd like to do in the scene, or would you like to pass the camera along?
No, I'm ready to pass the camera.
All right. And if you don't mind, before I'm guessing, Foxy, if you'd like to take this, if you don't mind, I think I'd like to take a moment to see what Shinya's doing right now. And Shinya has already slunk away after assisting Archeron, or maybe perhaps this was beforehand. But we watch as a sort of like this camera in this dark area, really, of Shinya's room, or perhaps in his mech. It's a little difficult to tell when everything's dark except illuminated by monitors. As Shinya works on his mech, on programming. And he's setting up wiring. You watch as sort of like, oof, ow, bark. But as he plugs in the last bit of wiring, just for a little bit of a moment, you see as his sort of like streaming display flickers a bit. And he's starting to work on it. Begin to prep for a new stream. And we sort of cut away.
What could that be about? Hmm. But I guess that means it's over to me then, yeah?
Yep.
Cool. I think Alleluia is as of current still within their personal quarters. Uh in the aftermath of basically being told to sod off by the RCN command. And they're mostly going to like turn away from the hollow room and like stand back in that kind of rest area and like take an inhale that is that very same calm authoritative posture they always have. The exhale, however, is very shaky and tired. And I think as they kind of like open their eyes again is when like Bastet manifests, and they just look at the small cat kind of circling around them and just, and what am I to do now then, old friend? What am I to do now?
As Bast sort of like, and I think Bast is actually just given up on pretending gravity exists for them as they float around you. They sort of walk on the air around your shoulders, their tails swishing a little bit hypnotically, artificial click clack sounds of claws against a floor that doesn't exist. Well, the first thing you should do, Lance Admiral Alleluia Caden, is to get your hands treated. It appears that you have some small bruising.
There's an emergency med pack stored on the side of the room there. I'll grab it in just a moment. Thank you for the reminder.
I am concerned about you and the current situation. But I would like to ask,
Yes,
without
Shipmaster.
order, without command from higher command, what is it that you would like to do?
I would like as many people to leave this system, this situation, dare I say this war, alive as possible. It is a bold ask for one who commands thousands, has hundreds killed with every shot fired. But if I could be selfish, beyond order or circumstance, I would see as many people as possible escape this system alive, and I would deal with the rest afterwards.
Is an admirable, and ambition. And you like sort of like watches Bast's figure sort of like fizzle a little bit. But I am concerned for you. You cannot save people when you are stressed. Perhaps you should rest, Lance Admiral.
I'm stressed because I cannot save people best. When all this is done, when I know I have done my part, I will get all the rest I can, even if it brings me to the grave. Before then, I have a job to do, and I will see it done.
This may sound trite coming from a computer like me, but you cannot save everyone. In fact, there is, I believe, an old quote from Old Earth. Not even Buddha can save every last drop of water between his fingers.
I understand what I ask for is vain. But I don't know what else I can do right now but continue to try.
And sometimes that is all we can do. All we can do is our best. I believe that is the term. Yes?
And if I could meet the afterlife knowing one thing, it will be to know I did my best, friend.
You are already doing your best, my friend. And Bast will sort of like reach up and boop you on the nose. But first, you should take care of yourself and perhaps check in on your crew. Yes, I believe that that is a pastime. Yes, to de-stress and discuss with your people, your friends, your other friends.
I think if it feels appropriate, it's like at this moment that like the outer door, like someone's outside your door, bell rings, and it's one of the two of you.
Hold on. Where was this conversation taking place? Was it like on the way to your quarters?
I am already in my quarters.
Dang. I had a thought, but that's fine. Yeah, it's Tenebra. Is that cool, John?
Yeah. I mean, I can come in later. And
I
we could
feel
also
like
have like we could also have a situation where we're both there independently, and we'll have to.
Yeah, I was about to say,
just
I think for what's seeming right in my head, given what I know Archeron has to say and what I think Tenebra has to say, I think Archeron first, followed by Tenebra, and then Archeron leaving for then like at that like Archeron into mixed scene into Tenebra is what I'm thinking in terms as far as how
Okay.
that goes. If that sounds appropriate.
That works. Yeah,
Cool.
do it.
Cool. So yeah, I think Chime goes off and just prophetic timing. Thank you, Shipmaster.
You are welcome, my friend.
Will cock a very light hat. Go ahead, please.
Is this are you taking a cool off action? Because I feel like you probably need to resolve that before I come in.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I think that wasn't an action. That was just kind of getting some narrative set up for whoever comes in.
Sure.
So yeah, I think eventually Alatheia will just walk over to the door, straighten their admiral jacket a little bit after ruffling it somewhat in their frustration, and just tap the door open. Oh, Ensign Rose. Good evening.
Yeah, and you'll see while they're still standing in the hallway, they're like, "Oh, good evening. I'm very sorry to disturb you, Lance Admiral. I was wondering if kind of as they, if you motion them to come inside, as they step.
I think seeing I think they're gonna like cut immediately into all this and just like slide to the side and just, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, and as soon as they step inside and the door kind of closes again, they're dropping the act and going, Malcolm, Rayner, Taylor, Vincent, do those names mean anything to you?
They are two amongst the 12 Grand Admirals, current commanders of the entirety of RCN High Command, and by virtue of the wartime government, acting head of state for the entirety of what should be the United Rim government.
Well, Lance Admiral, with all my respect, unfortunately, these two names came up in some research that I did, and I can tell you it was not research into the lineup of RCN High Command, and in fact, they seem to be involved in some much more questionable.
Speak no further.
Activities.
Looking over to the side. Fast. Privacy mode, please.
You watch as sort of like you kind of feel a sort of like electromagnetic field kind of passes over you, and then also like that's like as little bits of sort of like the quote the standard bugs kind of fizzle a little bit. They don't really turn off, as more of they're filled with some sort of like white noise generator.
Continue. Archeron?
Yeah, and I think essentially, I don't know if we need to like repeat all of that. Essentially, Archeron will give you the rundown of the different all the information that I could gather, and probably I think maybe when we fade back into like kind of like cutting out that part of the diagram, we fade back and Archeron kind of ends on and well with a little bit of luck, hopefully Corporal Tainer will be released fairly soon once they realize that there are no real charges against him. But it was an unfortunate sacrifice that had to be made.
Well, aside from the fact that I should have you court-martialed for violating the personal files of a higher officer and sneaking into classified information on the RCN, all of that can be saved for how troubling the information you bring to me is. It brings many pieces together. Unfortunately, not in a way that I find pleasing. Is this why you're here, Ensign?
Lance Admiral, this not the first person who asked me that question today. I'll have to admit. To maybe assuage some of your concerns, it is not the only reason I'm here. Maybe it used to be, but it isn't anymore.
What would the other reason be, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, there are a number of people, myself included, but this goes beyond me. There are a number of people who I would very much like to see make it safely out of this situation. I spent most of my life surrounded by people who really couldn't wait for the world to end. And I think I've gotten to a point where I would like at least some of our worlds to continue after this.
Hallelujah will do the strangest thing Archeron has ever seen them do, and they will cock like a very wry smile. You were hoping to have a long and satisfying life. The military wasn't the right place to look. Nonetheless, we share that goal, Ensign. I intend to see you, and as many as possible, leave this system alive. Know that. Which is why I also have something important I must be shared with you if you have not already been made clear. And I think that right before, because again, the timing is so cosmic, it's so anime, right before I carry that on might be a great time for once again the door chime to go off.
Beep.
Something tells me that might also be helpful.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and just like a moment, and we'll turn to the door and open it.
You see Tenebra, holding a bottle of whiskey with 2 cups over the top. Sorry, I think I might be interrupting something.
Funny, I was considering the same. You should join us. I believe the conversation is pertinent.
All right. And she'll walk in and kind of like set the bottle down on. I imagine the Lance Admiral's room does have some sort of like, it's not quite a liquor shelf, but somebody else probably uses it as one.
Oh, no question. I mean, I imagine the refit done to the Heaven After Hell to give me the small sort of like sub-quarter rest room definitely has a place that you can store alcohol or something like that, auto-refrigerated, all the fancy shit, whatever.
Why would you refrigerate good whiskey?
If it needs to be refrigerated for anything that's not whiskey would be the thought.
Yeah, She sets the bottle down and then comes over and joins the rest of you.
I assume we can once again montage through the information sharing of.
Quick montage, you see like scenes flash through, and a quick summary. Boop.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, poor Corporal Tainer, but
That's
you know, it needed to be done.
Corporal Tainer aside, that puts our position at an even more precarious spot. It also would explain why we need to act fast, given that, if you weren't aware, Ensign, the timer on this star is shorter than any clock has already shown. Less than a week remains for the people here. Also, Michelle, great fucking music call. Holy shit.
There's something you should see. Tenebra is gonna pull up a live feed from outside Orem Gate, as I imagine just like ship after ship after ship is starting to mass outside. You can see Arum's like smaller boats scrambling to create a defensive array to keep people from going through the like currently open portal.
Hallelujah watches this with like a slightly aghast expression and just, why are they? How will they? No, that's a defensive cordon. They'll panic. They'll open fire.
If nobody stops them, yes. It seems that there were a lot of people who may have found themselves interminably delayed trying to cross the RCN gate. They're desperate.
And despite sharing that information, Rear Admiral Frost and the rest of High Command by proxy appears to offer nothing in terms of escalating their plans for evacuation. Gate Zeta will not hold that many people, that much traffic. No, we'll need both gates.
Does this mean that you're going to open negotiations with them?
It means I'm going to make a call. Several calls, perhaps. But before then, and they don't like stumble on their feet, but they like lean a little. A great deal of things are upon us. The choices we make next will decide not our own fate, but the fate of trillions. I think there is consideration that will have to be made before that decision is finalized. Swiftly, I will add, but I will still need some time.
Ensign, make sure the mechs are ready for sortie.
I'll just wordlessly kind of nod and get up and do that.
And as you're kind of like stumbling on your feet, there's just like a glass of whiskey pressed into your hand.
Okay, I'm just trying to decide how to react to this.
No, not you.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was going to say, Tenebra should be the one who knows.
The person stumbling. No.
Yep.
Okay.
Alia is like looking at the glass, like cups it in a hand, and just, Ensign, I promised I would get as many people out of here alive as possible. I intend to keep a promise for once in my life.
I'll get the spores ready.
And as the door kind of closes, Alleluia just slowly circles the glass a little. And this is all a bit dramatic, don't you think?
The universe is big. All possibilities come to pass. You're tense.
Not the word for it. I'm desperate. Stars preparing to explode. Trillions are fleeing for a gate controlled by filthy, greedy capitalists, and the people I've sworn my service to seem to do nothing. All the while their ranks are corrupted, we still lose a civil war against fascists, and I'm to do what? Order more to die? Tell more people that I have a plan for this?
Hey, Foxy, that thing that we were talking about before the show, the models, is that actual? Are we saying that's a thing?
I imagined it. I would say yes, but it's less like Gundam build fighters, and it's more like Star Wars Armada. Like it's model ships.
Cool. Yeah. So there are like a series of model ships like on that shelf where Tenebra had initially stuck the whiskey. And she kind of runs her fingers along them, and you get a flashback briefly to a younger Tenebra and a younger Alleluia are across from each other at a board that is lit up from beneath. And there are a variety of ships engaged in like faux combat in a war game. And you see like the ship in question make a bold strategic move and get shot down. And we cut back to Tenebra kind of looking at the ship. It's much harder when people's lives are on the line, isn't it?
I think the ship Tenebra runs their hand over specifically is a model of an Ancilla class corvette, like the Cherubim Serenade and the Funeral Bell. And Alleluia flinches some. We get that same flashback repeated again of the ships moving and the one being shot down. But as it sort of becomes that like small explosion is like display on the screen, it cuts to a very real explosion of an actual Ancilla class ship cracking in half and going critical in the middle of a battle. And Alleluia flinches and just
wait. Also, then like in that scene, a cut to Alleluia's face as like red light is strobing on the bridge.
Yeah, and they're just like horrified. Like you can faintly hear like very buzzed in the background through like the constant whine in Alleluia's ears, someone begging them for some kind of order, and they're just staring. Hey. Losing the prayer keeper in my first campaign was not a wound I thought I would have to suffer so early. 1,200 lives lost. All because I couldn't accommodate for a single barrage. I was careless. I got those people killed, Tenebra.
Did you ever talk to anybody about it?
I attended the standard post-campaign debriefs and meetings with shipborne therapists.
That's not the same.
No. I find myself a bit too busy these days to reminisce on past failures.
She'll turn and like walk over to you. I imagine there's like seating. She has her own glass of whiskey, and she takes your hand and like pulls you into a seating position. you are one person with a lot of responsibility. There are people we can save, but war always has losses. You don't do this because you can save every life, but because there are some small people in the galaxy far removed from your ship who will never have to see the horror of war if you succeed.
I'm so scared to fail.
So am I. And she reaches behind the mask, and you can see it kind of like flex and come off. And there's nothing like visibly wrong with the lower half of her face. It's obvious now that she's the same person that was in the broadcast, though it seems like probably you haven't seen that broadcast. There's been so much other stuff going on. And she, I think, just wordlessly moves in to kiss Alatheia.
Come on, Don. I, and like there's a visible blush on their face. They just don't have the words to form.
We're finally at a spot where we hear Tenebra's voice without the modulation. Lance Admiral, if things go poorly, we are going to be stardust. If things go worse, we're going to be corpses floating in the middle of space. You have an opportunity to do something good. Relax before it happens. The only thing you can do is do your best to rise and meet the moment.
Well, I think you'd make beautiful stardust if that matters.
You're far too romantic.
And I think at that point, Alatheia will finally be the one to lean in and kiss them. And as they do so, they finally, like, the ponytail they've been holding their hair for, like, the entirety of the campaign will finally come loose, and, like, dark and light green strands of hair will finally fall about their face. I'll take the cooldown action once or twice now. Sure, why not?
I'm going to take the work on a project action.
Go for it. You two both can roll for as long as you feel like you need to, as long
Project
as you
is what I
take
call
it
my
really from
beat.
the outside direction.
So I got a dice work again in this game. Okay, right.
Forget
okay,
that.
so I
oh, never mind.
I rolled dice equal to my lowest attribute, which I'm pretty sure in this instance is my steel is 1. So I'm gonna roll 1 die twice. That's a 4 and a 2.
You also get a plus 1d one additional dice per person, which is Tenebra.
Oh,
so
sweet, cool, extra die. So I get an extra die for both of those. So I'm gonna count doing both times. So the highest result is a 4, and the highest result is a 3. I clear stress equal to the highest result. So I clear a grand total of 7 stress. I just cleared almost all of my stress.
Yeah, I think we see that scene like escalate as this excellent music is backing it, and like, I'm looking in the camera. They fuck.
Yeah, let's making that incredibly clear.
We're not gonna
for the
make
sake
that.
Of the
We're not
audience
gonna
here.
show it on camera. We're gonna be vague about it. You can imagine that.
If there were cameras, we might just show it, but like there aren't, so we won't. But if there were,
should we just because it feels cinematically fitting. Should we intercut that with a montage, like a wordless montage of what the other characters on the ship, maybe including Panther Squad,
Yeah.
are doing right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't checked in with them today yet, because I can say that for Archeron, after having notified our squadrons and stuff, we'll see Archeron and Notice. I'm imagining maybe in like a, if we have some kind of like what would you call that, like a, not a holodeck, but what I'm thinking of, like some kind of practice environment, like a training environment, running essentially like kind of practice runs with their cases, and we see like Akron just going like kind of taking a note out of Notice's book and going absolutely ham with with their with the virtual representation of their case.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing.
I bet you get a really cool shot of like the two of you like boosting full speed towards each other and like meeting hand in hand and like, doing that cool like anime class for a while,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think very, very simply, Zephyrus is watching this off to the side with Boreas for a brief moment. It's just like passing a cigar back and forth and just, yo, Boreas,
Yeah.
seen the Lance Admiral?
No. But
Seen the Commandant?
No. Do you know the comms on the Lance Admiral's, or systems quiet on the Lance Admiral's room?
Uh-huh. And then hold out their hand. 12 credits, please.
And I think we have like Euros just like walking behind their backs like past them like, don't be gross, boys.
Zephyrus says, oh, me, gross, of course. As they like split their bet in half and pass Uranus the half they put into their bet.
I think you see as like Bast is normally seen at like at Alatheia's side. So Bast just sort of like walks into the training room, perches on and just watches tail switching and just
What do we see of Shinya? What do you think?
Bast has like if a cat could look mortified.
When you kicked your pet out of the bedroom.
That's so funny. There's got to be a lot of sex happening on the ship, like over the course of time. It's just never been the Lance Admiral.
Yeah, it's just.
It's a sort of like that look. Okay,
it's like Bass is like, I know that I'm going to have to share brain space with him later.
I'm probably going to see that later.
Also, it's like on one, it's like that sort of conflicted. Like on one hand, I'm really glad that he's like de-stressing. On the other, I did not need to know that much about my friend.
You walk upstairs at the party and catch your best friend in bed. You're like, oh, on one hand, great. On the other hand, gross. Please, no.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Although, unfortunately, Bast has there's like a micro
so
program
funny.
running in the back of their head that is still like doing the blackout in the room, and so Bast is getting a play-by-play that they're very firmly trying to ignore.
Oh, my poor cat friend. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Vermin, you were saying.
So I rolled double sixes on
That's a crit.
on the work on a project. So
I'm gonna make the worst. I'm gonna make the worst joke I've ever made on a stream ever. So I guess we know who finished first.
Deeply unnecessary, Foxy.
And that's why I had to do it.
And then I also took the cool off action because why not? But I rolled Snake Eyes, which does mean that news gets around. I think we know what the news is.
Oh my god!
Everyone
this is so
else may
funny.
update their bond with me, ticking their track as usual.
Actually, yeah, that's because then that fills my bond track with you. I don't know why this would. I mean, maybe I'll.
I think if nothing else, this is the kind of thing where it's like, oh, yeah, that's like that's how you get through this is just by like taking it day by day.
Well, yeah, I think it's I think from my perspective, it's specifically the like today has been the day where we stop being like strangers or colleagues, right? Towards okay, there's bonds happening here. Like we're all kind of in this together. I think that's what's happening. So
Shinya
you can
looking over at Archeron.
take a
Busy
beat,
later?
Vermin.
Yep.
Say again?
And-
Oh yeah, I took a beat.
Yeah.
And Archeron, you are ticking out your XP gauge.
Yeah.
Mm.
It is really funny that those were the snackers. I was like, I kind of, I don't think this would be fitting, but like, I almost want like Shinya to be responsible for this in some way. But
Oh my god.
We can say that it happened that way, and then retcon it later if Shinya says no. But absolutely, I love the idea that Shinya's the one with the gossip.
I think that the easiest answer to like how this gets around is Shinya is recording as Tenebra comes out of the captain's quarters.
Yeah, either that or even just like walking past the door,
walking by doing a fucking like live stream. Yeah, chat. So we're hanging out. We're doing the. Just turns the camera so everyone can see Tenebra leaving. Looks at chat. Just.
Which is actually especially funny given that Tensei specified that like Shinya is specifically trying to get Tenebra into more shots. Like it's the I think at this point it's almost like a stream, like a running joke in the
Tenebra
stream
count.
of like having Tenebra in the background and people are just spamming the Tenebra emote in the chat or whatever.
It's got little horns drawn on top of her her face.
It's like an actual like screenshot of like one of the streams of like Tenebra's like looking kind of like somewhat surprised and confused. Yeah. Great.
Oh god, that's so funny.
That's great. That is great. All right, so that is, I believe, another 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's
okay,
2 actions for me. I've got exactly 1 left.
Yep. So everyone, I think everyone has 1 action left unless they want to spend a beat.
No. I'd have to spend a beat to get my last action.
Okay. So then, John and.
Oh, yeah. One more thing. I'm advancing my bond with Alatheia. I'm so sorry that I have to read this out loud to you.
It's fine.
My position and your self-sacrificing nature make you easy to manipulate. I'll have you under my thumb soon.
Or under you. Never mind. No, that's fair. They really just like me, honestly.
Yeah, so that's 1 tick on the bond track. Did you, Foxy, advance your bond with Tenebra?
Yes. I need 1 more tick from either of you actually to take to fill that track all the way up.
Okay. What's your bond with me?
Well, currently, I meant to rewrite it, but last time it was, you are what happens when people are born into a burning galaxy. It and you must be better. But I think that's like shifting somewhat towards like, again, the reminder that like you, like everyone else, are another person with like wants and hopes and fears.
Okay. I'm gonna hold for a second because I think I might have 1 more scene that I want to do, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make my action very simple. I think I'm just gonna use the training with notice as a cool off action for myself. Does Panther Squad also? I guess I'm also gonna take an extra die for doing that with another crew member, right? They do count as crew members.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah. So as always, cool off roll equal to your lowest attribute, which is 1 in steel for me, plus the 1 die from No, this might double sixes. Wow.
Oh,
So that's
Go ahead and clear 6 threat.
yeah, and it's also again because my best die is a 6. You do something revealing and Use gets around, figure out what it is, and then everyone else may update their bond with you. I assume the news might be, hey, the kid who got like weirdly self-sacrificial last mission is now training with the guy who's constantly flying headfirst into danger. That might be
I have to
a somewhat
imagine.
problematic combination.
I have to imagine the way to sticks our bond is because at this point now, like, I mean, obviously Tenebra hasn't arrived in the scene yet, but like, that's you and the entirety of Panther Squad are all like together doing a thing, which I think like if we do the Gundam thing where they love to like vaguely hint at their protagonist having sex without saying it, like we get like a quick camera pan of like Alleluia somewhere in that rest room still, mostly nude, and like looking at like a hollow screen, and, like seeing like the training room and seeing like Panther Squad and Archeron like doing their thing, and like again just brief wordless smile and like happy to see that you're finally like again taking that seriously of like I'm going to get these people out of here alive, like no matter what I do. And I think it's gonna like be our last tick for our bond. So go ahead and take a beat, friendo, and I'll take a 2 little XP.
I've updated the bond with Acheron since we finished my bond that I had before.
Mhm.
And it's Acheron deserves to see the world that comes after the NCR.
Mm.
RCN, excuse me.
I got a little confused.
Suddenly we're in Fallout.
Suddenly we're in Fallout.
Well, I mean, war never changes, except it does constantly.
Actually, that's very sweet. You guys are so sweet. It's like I feel like the general chatter among the rest of the crewmates though is just this sort of sense of, oh no, the reckless one and the self-sacrificial one are working together.
The crew being like, "Oh no, this is the anime finale where most of us die, isn't it? Fuck, shit, man, are we side characters? Fuck."
So yeah, on a mechanical level, essentially this is folding into what I'm doing with my XP, with my full XP track, which is to take a new move. In this case, it's a case move, specifically the case move Overdrive, which lets me overclock my case, which I feel like is probably a move that Notice already has.
Cool. Double checking. Okay, so there's one. And then we only have one more move left for Alleluia,
For
unless
me,
you want to take a beat to do something else, or anybody else wants to.
I think I'm good, honestly. Okay, so Michelle, I mentioned like because I know we're at 10:30, so I'm just like kind of timing wise. This is the thing for you, Michelle. I guess like no, you know what? No, it's fine. I'm gonna save it for now. I think I'm gonna keep mine very simple montage. Acheron, Alleluia is going to like brief cutaway to like the next cycle, as it were, as we're like finishing our repairs at the station and finishing up. Uh, the hangar is busy with engineers and pilots and people going over things, getting the squads ready. Everyone's preoccupied. Whether or not we see Catafalque or Panther Squadron there is a thing, but I think at some point, like the from the side of the of like the hangar bay, Leo walked into the hangar bay and like just kind of stands cross-armed and almost like very casually like leans against the side of the hangar and just watches, just like looks at all the crews. Several of them stop and like think to like offer an officer on deck and a salute, but like they just offer a quick wave away and like just observe the crew as they prep and as they work. And I think it's like we see several of the mechanics engineers kind of like add a bit more pep in their step, seeing like the commanding officer around them, and like they're just kind of can't decide on whether or not Leo wants to walk up to and talk to like a mechanic or an engineer or a pilot. And Michelle, you can decide if you want to have that be the case or not. But I think this is like I'm taking the ready up action to grab a quick little XP. But I am actually no, I lied. It's not what I'm doing. I think Ali is going to leave that scene and is going to step away to like a personal private comms room and Bast, private connection, if you will, on this address, and we'll send interstitially via their thought a private address they received from last mission. And they're going to contact a certain someone they met last time they were out. I think you know who, GM.
Beth sort of gives you a look. Doesn't say anything. It just sort of is like. I don't think Bast was really aware of how that interaction went, I think. But it's sort of like, negotiations went well last time, I suppose, and opens a private comm. And you see the familiar face of Arden of the Joyful Wing.
Captain?
That's the little admiral. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Pleasure's mine, I assure you. Alatheia says with no hint of humor in their voice in the slightest.
Oh, all business, aren't you? Well, I suppose with the sun looking like it's about to... Well, burn our tails.
Yes. About that. Have you seen what's happening at Waygate Alpha?
Ah, yes, the Gilded Hope. Of course.
You've seen the civilian ships already on their way.
And you'd like us to assist you?
Well, I'm sure a captain as savvy as you could reckon the same way I could. But the way Aram keeps positioning around that gate, with the oncoming civilians desperate as they are, that situation won't remain peaceful for very long. I don't intend to see shameless people die for no reason. I don't intend to let Aram Gate get away with this. If the RCM will not offer me support, mayhap it's time I do a thing for myself for once.
Ah, greedy, aren't you? I like that, I like that. But tell me, what can you give me? I don't work for free, after all.
Aside from passengers outside of the system, along with whoever can escape with the Waygate opened, well, that may have to come afterwards. But, and I think Alatheia once again kind of cocks like a bit of a sly smile and like puts their hair back a bit behind their ear. Promise it'll be a good story.
Well then, the tenets of our envoy say to live in the moment. May his name be blessed. We'll see, little admiral. We'll see.
Have my signal officers clear our IFF to register you as friendly, and give you clear okay when we dispatch from this from the system or from the station.
Good. I think at this moment is a good time for you to give me that roll.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm acquiring an asset. Now that I've already acquired some ass, I'm so sorry. So, tell me what action I'm using for this one. Listen, I love you. I'm sorry, Michelle. What skill am I rolling with here?
You, I think, trying to talk someone into something. So I'm gonna say, go ahead and make a sway roll, please.
Sweet. I'm not afraid to push my own self because I just cleared all my stress. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to give myself a dot in that skill. Actually, I'm gonna do it twice. Fuck it. Why not? Who cares? I can give myself 4 stress. Fuck it. Why not? Here comes 2 die. I love that I did that. It's a 5 in total.
A 5. All right. With that, you get a technically
I get an asset equal to my tier. Yep.
Yeah, asset equal to so tier 1, and that is exactly what their tier is, so
I'm fine with that. Perfect.
yeah. It's like, well, little admiral, I see you've convinced me. We will meet you there.
See you in the black, Captain.
See you in the black. Boys, ready up!
Well, assuming I haven't damned us all, we've a war to win. And Ellie will kind of just turn from their private space and look back towards the hangar and watch all the crews work. That's my last downtime action. Whether or not I do anything else depends on whether or not you want to have us engagement roll before we get there or not. And I don't know. We'll see. That's all I got for downtime action, though.
I think.
Yeah.
No, Archeron, go ahead.
I have one more downtime action, but it's not a huge story thing. So if you wanna,
No, you go first.
okay, because I can still spend a beat to get an extra action, which I actually am going to use to also acquire an asset. Specifically, I think Archeron is going to upgrade their weapon. Essentially, what I'm hopefully like trying to make happen here is to roll well enough to bump my weapon up a couple tiers, and turn it into like a proper ship buster or something along those lines. Yep. So I scrolled past the thing. What's the roll that I need to do for acquiring assets?
It's a skill of an appropriate skill, and you get an asset based on your highest result. It's different in terms of the tier of the asset.
Right. So what would the skill be here? Because I'm thinking I'm thinking this would be me like connecting with Panther Squad and get their like based on their experience, get their input into like how to optimize essentially my loadout, which I guess would be a sync, which is not a good role for me.
That does sound like a sync to me.
I guess I can push myself a couple times. I just cleared out all my stress, so I'm just gonna fill it up again.
Live
yeah,
on the edge.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I only have one shift so far, so like I'm not close to like a stress death here.
Rookie numbers, bump those up. Rookie numbers.
Yeah. Remember, is there even like is there a limit to how often you can push yourself for a roll?
It doesn't look like there is one. It just says you can spend. Well, technically it's during a mission. So.
Right.
But this isn't a mission, so it's push yourself to spend 2 stress to add +1 to a roll. It does not have specifically said that there's a limit as far as I can tell.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if we're allowing like pushing yourself in for like downtime stuff, then I think I'm just gonna, you know what? Yeah, I mean, we're penultimate episode. I'm gonna push myself. So if I push myself 3 times, that would put me to 3 dice, right? Because like I start with 0 and then it just puts me to 3. Cool. I'm just gonna do that. Push myself 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Roll with 3 dice on sync. That's 3d6. Highest is a 6. I can also, the way that acquire an asset works, you may spend beats to up your result 1 for 1. So I already rolled a 6. I also rolled a 5. So I think if I understand it correctly, I can spend 1 beat to upgrade that 5 to a 6 and have a crit, right? Like that.
You can.
That should work. Yeah. Cool. I'll do that then. So I'm gonna spend 1 of my beats here, make that a crit, which for acquire an asset means it's a +2 tier. The asset essentially is just going to be, let me just scroll back to the gear list here. It is just going to be in this case, I'm thinking maybe like it's probably still a melee weapon.
Like a rocket mace, like a big fucking mace with a fucking jet at the side.
Well,
you just
like
fucking just.
Again, it's not necessarily a new weapon. It's like upgrading my existing one, right? So like it was already like a buzzsaw executioner's axe. So it's just gonna have more.
So upgrade it with rockets. Put some fucking rockets on it.
I was thinking like beam upgrades, right? Like to turn it into like an actual kind of like laser saw.
Rockets. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Anyways, uh, so I guess I'll just add to the weapon here that it is what's the default tier is tier 1? Yeah, so this will be tier 3.
Tier 1, yeah. So you just tier
Nice.
3.
Okay, so I'm just gonna dismantle things next session.
Thanks, Mikazuki.
Yeah, and it is also because it is my starting weapon. It is also a fine quality weapon, which means it already like jumps a tier. I don't know. It's just gonna I guess I'll always have like strong position against anything that isn't like planet size, I guess. Okay, yeah, that's my last action then.
All right. Just before we do anything else, just double checking with Tenebra. Where did you stash the biological clock? The I believe I had a name for it.
No. I gave that to
Apocalypse?
the captain. I gave that to the Lance Admiral. I delivered that.
I put it in my quarters because I totally knew out of character that I had it.
It currently has like a whiskey bottle on top of it.
I like. I felt like I made it pretty clear that I like took it aside, took some photos of it, and then delivered it to you.
Oh no, you 100% did. I just forgot because I'm stupid. This isn't a you thing. It's fully on me.
All right, cool. Have you let anybody else know about it? In the crew, because just as a question.
I think I will either inform directly both Shinya and Panther Squadron, or I will like give permission to Tenebra and Archeron to inform them. So Panther Squadron and the whole Catapult Squadron know. The rest of the ship will know soon, probably.
All right, cool. And I think with that, we watch as sort of. Actually, yeah, maybe this is some good music for this. But we watch as the camera sort of pans again over to Shinya. He's already finished working on his, I believe it's the remote piloting mech system, and is now like you look, and there is a screen in front of him. It's the setup for the stream. A stream. And it's currently on Shinya's webpage, or like the streaming service that he uses. But it looks a little bit different. You don't see the normal video screen pop up, you don't see the normal page. It's just a timer. A timer that's set to, at some point, count down exactly 15 minutes before the biological clock says the sun is yet set to collapse.
Oh no.
And I think with that, if you'd like to do your fun little pre-engagement scene here, unless we'd like to end things here, what are we feeling?
So do you think we should do the engagement roll first and then I do my thing, or do you want to do my thing and then I'll do the engagement roll like on screen next episode? Up to you.
You guys, what are we feeling?
What's y'all?
Let's do the engagement roll next time.
Sounds good to me. So I think we get a slow pan of like it starts off just like the camera on Alleluia standing somewhere, arms folded. They're on the bridge. And they kind of with their eyes closed and just, all ships engage forward thrust, angle bow velocity 60, anti-spinward. Be engaging RM gate forces around Waygate Alpha against RCN orders. If there are any who object, grab a shuttle and leave the ship immediately. Otherwise, you'll be coming with me. And I think as like the ship's thrusters begin to like power on and angle themselves, screens kind of come to life. All the previous like screens that were used for things like propaganda broadcasts or anything else are all switching over to show Alleluia's face on the bridge of the ship. All the officers stop, leave, turn from their posts and turn to offer like salutes over their chest. Approximately 11 years ago, a group of people who believe the galaxy belongs to them declared war on everyone who wanted to make something better. A few years after that, in a show of force, they devastated a planet I called home. Millions dead. To answer that, we went to war. I went to war. I thought fighting would bring an end to this. I thought if I led well enough, if I believed hard enough, that war could end. But what I believe now is that there are glorious, beautiful people on this ship. Beautiful humans with families and lives they wish to return to. And out there in the void are a dozen ships and a dozen more with 1 trillion lives and 1 trillion more who have nothing else but the same. And all of them will die if we do nothing. And I am done doing nothing. Glorious, beautiful last sunrise awaits all of us. And I intend to see it with you, if you will come with me. Onward, ever onward in the dark.
From the inside of the cockpit, we see Tenebra say, Ir ser, and the subtitles read, to the stars.
And I think after you hear sort of maybe not cheers, but sort of the solemn salute. Not a single person leaves the ship. I think we watch as the camera pans its way through the people of Arbor Hearth. We watch as it goes through, and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Archeron, but a sort of reverie among the singers of the last dawn, or singers of the last sunrise, as they sort of perform some rites as the sun grows ever closer, but conspicuously, and perhaps to some unease, some of the upper echelon appear to be missing. And as more and more ships take off from the grounds of Arbor Hearth, as more ships fly from the frozen wasteland that is Quillen, there's a wall of ships heading towards Warp Gate Alpha. Or Aleph, sorry. Like an unceasing tide ready to break or overwhelm what forces there are. And as for what actually happens, well, we'll just have to wait and see for next week, huh?
Let's go make the future.
I think with that, we can probably end our session right here,
Blam.
All right. I'm gonna say on stream now before I forget. You're gonna go ahead and make your engagement roll with at least 1 plus 6 die.
Sweet. Can I argue that we're going for the assault plan, which is gives me my extra die from my I think he thought really good?
Yes.
Sweet.
It does
That's for
seem
a
like
later
we're
roll. Just like did that roll.
assaulting
No, I think we said that
their,
next game. Oh, sorry.
So we're doing
Have you
we're doing the roll next time, I think.
Yeah.
You don't need to roll
Oh,
right now.
yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
okay,
just our
cool.
note for next time. You can go ahead and
Okay, got it.
as a reminder for me, making that roll.
3d6. I'll leave them right here prepared for next Tuesday. They're charging up. I'm putting them on 6s. They're charging up. They're getting ready.
Yeah, if everybody could offer their energy to do a spirit bomb on Foxy's dice, that would be great.
That's all. If you could just offer any prayers to the dark gods as you will, collect chaotic energy around my dice to prepare for the engagement roll next episode. Take praises in chat. Thank you.
Shit, now I forgot what's the Vermin, maybe, or maybe one of you know the name in Neon Genesis Evangelion of the project of the entirety of Japan has to give their electricity to Nerve.
Oh,
I'm forgetting the name, but yeah,
I've forgotten it.
It's been too long since I've seen Evangelion, friend. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say also, yeah, okay. Well, I'll talk about the other advantages and disadvantages you have in next time. For now, holy crap! For those of you who stuck around longer than expected, or maybe not, this was expected to be a bit of a long episode. Thanks for sticking around. I would like all of my amazing players who freaking make the RP, like you guys really make this RP, to please sign themselves off for their penultimate episode. So please tell us who you are, who you played today, and where we can find you next, in the same order as introductions, please.
Hi, friends. I'm Young Foxy, aka Big Foxy, also known as your favorite Fox Philly's finest. I can be found all over the internet at Young Foxy. It's YUNGFOXXII. Sometimes there's an underscore in the middle, so if you can't find one, look for the other. I am all over the internet, namely right here on Neon Lights Roleplay. The next place you're going to see me on your screens is tomorrow for a return of By His Shadow Peace. Don't remember if we're going to be airing a pre-recorded episode or if we're going to be playing a live one just yet, but either way, you'll see me and some of these fucks doing some Warhammer. It's going to be fantastic. Outside of that, you're going to see me around for all kinds of other wonderful shows, including the incredibly and returning soon Stardust Ghosts, my mecha anthology love letter to Gundam, fascism, and fascism bashing, and all kinds of other gay things. But much more importantly than anything that I'm doing right now is to plug our Mecha March event and one shot, which this series is included to be a part of. All throughout Women's History Month, we're including a variety of charities, which we are supporting through various streams, including several one shots. We've had about 2 airs so far. Our third one comes up this Thursday, the day after we see By Shadow Peace. It's going to be Violet Core, ran by our incredible and incomparable Sir Hecalot with an all-femme cast. It's going to be incredible. Please come and watch. Give your support if you can. But after that, we have one more one shot coming back around. That's the Lagrange 3 incident, run by yours truly, with an awesome cast. And of course, we still have one more episode of this great campaign. So please come back for all those things. Give your support to the charities if you can. That'll be awesome. I'll see you all there. I love you all very much and take care of yourselves. Mwah.
Nice. Thanks, Foxy. My name is John. I played Archeron in this campaign, and yeah, indeed, you can see me next week on the final episode of Stars Are Collapsing Now. Stars are being collapsed. You can find me as usual on the NLR Discord, and I usually also always shout out my itch page, john-east.itch.io. I wrote a new game and I'm gonna put it on there sometime, so like keep an eye on that if you're interested. Yeah, that's me.
I say keep 2 eyes on it, actually. Not even just 1. 2. Both eyes.
Yeah, especially
Both
when you're
eyes,
driving.
cross-eyed.
When you're driving, just look at your phone, check my itch page.
There you
And
go.
while
That's
you're doing
it. That's
that,
all
run
it
with
is.
some scissors.
This-
You should also run with scissors while you check out my shit. I'm Legendary Vermin. You can find me as Legendary Vermin on all the places on the internet that matter, which includes YouTube, Twitch, Itch, Blue Sky, I have a co-host. That exists. Yeah. If you're looking for me and you can't find me, it's Legendary Vermin, no spaces or anything, or Legendary Dash Vermin. It's one of the two. I have stuff on my itch that is slowly cooking, as they say. And it is specifically No Amount of Armor, which is the game system used in the wonderful Stardust Ghosts. We're getting art for that slowly but surely. If you're catching this on YouTube, maybe it's already there. But yeah, you can catch me for the next episode of this show, and also have we announced the return of that other robot time?
We haven't exactly announced it yet, but there's some rumblings of some robot returning happening
There's
sometime soon.
there's a my next big show on this little corner of the woods is coming up soon. But of course, you can catch me and Michelle in The World Within You, which is our bass boosted spray paint splattered take on Voidheart Symphony. Our roles are reversed. Wild things happen. It is very Persona 5 inspired psychonaut bullshit. It's great. Yeah, I think that's all from me.
All right. Once again, there's we don't want to forget Tensei because Tensei is awesome. And it is also unfortunately not with us today. But once again, please send him your well wishes and love. And I believe you can find him here. And if correct me, I believe on Singularity question mark. Did I get that right? Was it Singularity roleplay or was it Lost Caravan? I can't remember.
They're also on Bard Block Network and other places too.
Yes. Anyways, go check him out. He's awesome. And then of course, I guess that just leaves me. Hi, I'm Michelle. I played everyone else that was here today. You can find me here. That's about it. You can find me here. And here's my last note for you all. Because everyone else I think has already said all the other important things. We are supporting Sad Girls Club, boosting mental health. Go check it out. I mean, it's late, so, sleep first, but go check it out.
If you're on the West Coast, it's only 8 o'clock, so you have plenty of time before bed. So
Exactly.
stop making
So
excuses,
no, you don't have an excuse.
West Coasters.
Get on it. Pick up the slack.
Prove that we are Best Coast.
That's fair. That is fair. And hopefully our lives will echo luminescent, yes? I think that's a good note.
We're close to that at least.
Things on. Yep. Signing off.